So, what's the first thing you do when your phone rings? For me, every alert system in my body goes off. I feel like I'm under attack by an unknown enemy. Doorbell works just the same. Maybe you're not as introverted or neurotic as myself, but I'm willing to bet that you check your phone to see who's calling before you pick it up. How strange to think that just 25 years ago, caller ID wasn't even a thing. I mean, sure, the technology was probably around, but it was still in its infancy. It was not typical to see it in everyday homes. All that changed in 1996 when Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson released Scream. Scream didn't invent caller ID, but I'll be goddamned if you didn't see it on everyone's phone before the millennium. What a great premise. Mystery killer with cloned cell phones? In 96, that was some next level shit that connected with audiences even outside of horror fans. That helped Scream bring in over $173 million at the box office. It was the 15th highest grossing film that year. And for any of my film buffs out there, you know that 1996 had a killer lineup with titles like Independence Day, Jerry Maguire, Mars Attacks, Mission Impossible, the list goes on and on. If you finished in the top 30 that year, you were successful. Written by a legend and directed by a god, Williamson and Craven created something new and unique, while poking fun at the cliches of the slasher genre from the decades before it. Scream and all of its sequels were a large part of my childhood, and I know I'm not alone, because its impact on pop culture can still be felt today. All attributed to its creators, if you ask me. Craven's oeuvre became a dynasty with decades of groundbreaking horror flicks, and I'm just glad that I was alive for this one. I'm going to close out this intro with my favorite quote from Scream, given to us from one of the film's killers, Billy Loomis. It's all a movie. It's all one great big movie. Only you can't pick your genre. Welcome to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I am your host and your scary movie companion, Christian Ramey. And back for another week clapping them cheeks, the best producer in the world, Ozark Mark. What's up, Mark?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another podcast episode here to talk about one of the greatest things.
Yep, that's right.
Movies, horror movies, you know. Or at least it is in your world, Christian Ramey.
Yes, and I imagine there's listeners out there who've been listening and they're like, man, are you going to pick a movie you don't fuck with? And I will.
Good luck.
Well, first off, good luck. And then second off, to be quite honest with you, that will probably start to come as more movies come out and I can review a lot more. Because obviously, if it's a pillar or classic, I'll probably like it to some degree.
Sure.
But today, we are talking about something created by a god, a horror god, if you will. This man, he sculpted this out, and that horror god is Wes Craven.
That's one burp, I'm telling you. You're going to get hit old school Channel 3 with this goddamn remote.
More burps might come out.
You get 3. You already got 1.
I'm sorry. They might come. It just happens. I get excited, and then, I burp when I get excited.
I burp when I get excited.
I do.
Okay.
So Wes Craven, the master, each decade he comes out, and in the 90s, he kicks it off with Scream. Scream, like it, love it, you gotta fucking respect it. This movie did so much. For the Halloween scene, how many Ghostfaces did you see out there? It changed a lot of fucking things. Caller ID tripled in the United States and all over because of this. Can you imagine? Like, a movie comes out so large, was so impactful. Now there's caller ID. Everybody's calling their phone provider like, dude, I need to know who's calling me.
Yeah.
Because I'm terrified. From a horror movie. That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Not saying it wasn't existent. It didn't invent caller ID by any means, but it was not as common.
No, it definitely invoked the fear of people getting caller ID. Because I remember back in the days,
Yeah, phone just rang.
You didn't know. Yeah. You ever hear a landline call, like phone ring now? You're like, what the fuck is that?
Am I in a museum?
Yeah, it's like, who the hell still has a landline? But I remember when caller ID first came out, and everybody started having it,
Yeah, man. A very cool thing. Pretense to that, you'd have to, what was it, like star 67 to see who fucking called you? Mm-hmm. Or was that, did that block you? It was star 67 and star 69.
Star 69 blocked your number from showing up on
Yeah.
caller ID, or the fact that they can't call you back, which is ridiculous. Whoever invent that, because it's always going to be is prank calls. That like, why is that an option?
I know.
Who made that an option?
I know. Very cool, though. I mean, it
Sure.
entertained my childhood.
Yes.
There's a lot of people maybe not familiar with that time. I mean, we're not old men here, but maybe younger people are listening. I mean, my daughter is 15, and I think it's hilarious because her generation is so into the 90s, and it's like, oh, well, that's when I was a kid, so that's cool, man. I dig it. And this movie, she watches a lot. This is one that she actually likes and identifies, and she is not anything like her father. All the lights will be on after a horror movie. And she digs this one. It just speaks to people even now. 1996, all these years down the road, people still watching it. So let's talk about that lightning in a bottle. And I almost don't even want to call it lightning in a bottle because it was crafted by a god.
It was thunder in a jar. How's that?
Yeah.
Thunder in a jar. Try it out.
Thunder in a jar.
Yeah.
Thunder in a jar. So Wes Craven turned us down at first. A few directors did. This movie got kicked around a few times. It was originally titled Scary Movie, which is funny that that's what the parody ended up being called. But the original script for this was called Scary Movie.
I could see how that would have worked.
Sure. So it got kicked around in a can. Some actors, actresses, directors all turned it down. But Drew Barrymore seemed like the guiding light. So she agreed to play in this movie. So Wes Craven's like, all right, maybe we got something here. Totally took the helm of it. So there's a lot of parallels in his flicks, if you ask me. I like to call it American horror. Like, obviously, it's American horror, but like Americana horror. Why do you ask? Well, I'll tell you.
Please do.
So you noticed Nightmare on Elm Street. If you've seen A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, this next conversation is for you. So you noticed how Glenn in A Nightmare on Elm Street comes up through the window, sneaks into a room like, oh, my boyfriend's sneaking in. You better sneak out before my mom gets back. Scream. Billy sneaking up to the window. He says, you know what you do to me? She's like, you know what my dad will do to you? Classic Americana. That lays something with a regular audience. You or I, we can start off with the movie Chainsaw Swinging. We're like, oh, shit. Well, I'm in there right away. That's fine. But for your everyday crowd, they might be like, I'm not into this kind of picture. That's not something for me. This appeals to everybody. Okay, so what made this work? Casting. Not my favorite, but seriously, had the largest crush and still do. Neve Campbell is Cindy Prescott. She's like a perfect final girl. She's very smart. And then you have, Rose McGowan playing Tatum, her slutty friend. They play the perfect slut friend and like final girl combo. It works so well.
Yeah, there's like you said, there's so many references in this. It's crazy. It's almost like it's the tribute to horror of movies. It seems like, because I haven't watched this in a long time, and I'm seeing all these references to other classical horror movies. It's endless. Like, it's multiple pages of references in this movie.
Absolutely, and that's why they call Craven the Meta King. And not to insult anybody's intelligence, but they may be asking, like, what is meta? What is meta horror? And it's just the ability to, meta is when you're able to play off of yourself. It's like a wink at the crowd is pretty much what that is, and referencing yourself within something. And horror does, and it did this throughout the whole thing. I was trying to count again last night because I thought that would be a cool thing to bring the audience. Like, there is this many horror movie references and clips in this movie. I lost track after about 20. I was like,
you need like 2 of those clickers, those little hand clicker things.
Seriously, dude. I mean, and which I thought was really funny too. You guys probably caught this, but Sydney and Tatum are having a conversation, and she was like, "Easy, Sydney, you're starting to sound like some Wes Carpenter flick." And it you merge the names, and I just thought that was really cool. But somebody who doesn't know fucking horror or anything,
right over their head. Boom.
That was for me. That was for you. That was for the people who knew what that meant. And they're like, I see.
Yeah.
It's all a big joke. This ain't real. Like, there's intent. But in the same time, when it gets to the intense moments, knives are swinging, the music's going. Wes definitely can build suspense and scare you.
Yeah.
The only time I'll say Freddy again, but Freddy Krueger's fucking scary. Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, very scary, but it had those Americana moments where you're like, oh, that's the boy next door. Well, his girlfriend's calling late and dad left the phone off the hook. Like, that's a total thing that people could fucking see. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like the cool, edgy kids. You had a couple of them. Like, Tatum was kind of like, edgier, but just more flirty, more liberated, so to speak. Very 90s. Very 90s. So what else about this cast? Who else do we have going on? There's a character in this movie that I grew up to be, I grew up to be Randy Meeks. And I always kind of wanted to be him. I'm not going to lie. I mean,
seriously, like when I'm watching it, and I watched it, it's like 5 minutes into him being in the movie, I was like, well, that's Christian. Like dead on him. You would definitely, I guarantee you, I'm surprised you haven't, just probably because you haven't because they weren't popular anymore, but you definitely would have worked in a video store.
Oh, I know.
Absolutely. If this was like late, early 90s, whenever they were at their peak, like you would be, you're like, the guys who always hang out in the smoke shops, or you're the guy who always,
Hey kids, you ever seen Hellraiser?
Yeah, it's like,
what? I'll rent it for you.
Exactly. You know where every movie is, every fucking thing is, what's in stock. You would be insane. Like that's who you are, basically.
And it's like, not only do I enjoy it, but in the same light, it's kind of like a tick. Like I'm really like, it's just hard to concentrate on other films unless I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't she in E.T.? Oh, wait a second. Yeah, she was in E.T. and then she actually, in real life, her brother is blah. Like you get in these Wikipedia wormholes, and I find that shit really interesting because there's a lot more correlations in Hollywood than you would think, and then you're like, wait. This actor and actress are brother and sister? I had no fucking idea. And I've seen them in a million things. So I get Randy. I've always related with him. And obviously he's played by Jamie Kennedy. And Jamie Kennedy is a funny guy. And he has a little humor in the role, but he's very passionate for horror. And he is the meta character. The whole time he's saying what not to do.
Yeah.
He's saying what not to do.
And what's going to happen. Like he's calling it out.
He's in the video store, and then he's talking. He doesn't know Stu's the killer, so maybe that was his one throw-off. He wasn't expecting a double killer, right? And you guys know the deal with this show. The movie came out in 96, okay? So, if that was a spoiler for you, I'm sorry.
They already know we spoil the movies.
Okay, well.
It's all good.
So they're in the video store, right? And then Randy looks over, and he tells Stu, he's like, oh, now that's just poor taste. He says, if you're the prime suspect in a killing, are you going to be standing in the horror movie section? He's on it. And then he's like, these guys, they'd save time if they watched prom night. It's a very simple formula. And Stu was like, I think their dad did it. I think her dad did it. And he's like, or maybe he's somewhere with his fingers chopped off and he pops up in the last reel somewhere.
Yeah.
Like he did in the fucking movie. He tells you what's going to fucking happen, but you're just like, he's hard there.
Right.
He's just some little...
It's cool, though, him calling out the references. That's why, it's like a scary movie about a scary... I don't even know how to explain it.
Right.
But it's cool little, like, fun, talking about horror movies when you're in a horror movie. Like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun to watch.
When he gives his simple, and Randy, he gives that infamous, there are very simple rules to abide by to survive a horror movie. And, no drinking, no drugs, no sex, and,
I'll be right back.
Yeah, whatever you do, never say, I'll be right back. And Stu says that, and he says, all right, I'll see you later in the kitchen with the knife. It happens. It's almost one of those, like, moments to the screen. I mean, they might as well fucking do that, turn and wink to the camera.
Yeah. They might as well have the script on the left side of it, just telling you.
But if you're watching, I mean, I don't know. I'm referring to Mark and I, significant other. They are not, like, horror people. Like, they don't dislike
significant others. We don't have one. You said significant other. We're not double married here, pal. We're not married to the same broad. Significant others. I don't want the people to get the wrong idea. I don't think, we're not... Whatever the multiple people are with multiple husbands, double teaming.
Mark and I's celestial life mates.
Yeah.
Partner.
What? Say that again.
Celestial life mates?
I don't think you know what that one means.
Actually, what it means is to be one.
Is that the definition?
I have no fucking idea. It's
It's believable to me. So you know when people use those fancy words?
I use them.
Like, you know how many times I've used fancy words and I don't know exactly what it means? Like, I really cannot tell you the definition, but you use it in a way the other person's like, okay, I think I understand what you're saying.
It's the same thing with horror movies. Things with words kind of get that, like, and maybe that's why we're here talking into a microphone. I've always been really intrigued by talkers, radio, and like when it's easy to blow up on somebody and be like, fuck you, bitch. And like, that's easy to say. But when somebody can very elegantly just cut somebody up or like, oh, and you like pull that one up, I've always been very attracted to that because in my head, I'm a volcano. And I like, so when I see somebody reserved and they're able to like hit you with that one liner, you're like, oh my God.
It hurts so much more.
It does. But when somebody throws a funny word out there, if I'm able to, sometimes it sounds like my brain will repeat it like 3 times. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I just have to look what it means. And maybe I'll never use it again or I'll forget. But my Google search has just a bunch of random words like that. Just like, wait, what?
Yeah. Anyway, back to what you were saying about us, our celestial others.
Mm-hmm. So, our sexual partners are not large horror fans. They'll watch them with us and shit, but they're just, your average, girls when it comes to movies. I'm sure they like romance movies. I know mine does. I'm sure yours probably watches romance, action, drama, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
This Is Us, that kind of like...
Does that show make Rachel cry?
Every woman in the world
Yes,
it makes ugly cry. Like, when that show is going on, there are wet tears. Now, what I will tell you,
why
man...
are you watching this? Like, it's making you cry. Like, why are you... This is making you upset for the rest of the night. Why are you watching this?
I don't
do not
know.
Get it.
That's why I watch horror, because it's not serious. I can't take that kind of stuff.
No, I have to watch something that makes me laugh or is interesting. It's one of the two.
Yeah, you're just like, well, Grandpa died, but he had the present for the boy's birthday, but he didn't make it to the hospital. And you're like, oh my God, bro. Like, that's horribly sad. Why would you want to watch that? I don't want to watch this.
I bet you the writers of This Is Us are on such a fucking high right now.
They collect women's tears.
I bet you they do. I know people want to go about those crazy conspiracies, how people are into like pedophilia and like drinking the blood of children. No, the real problem is these is us writers are drinking the tears of women. They walk into that boardroom like, how are we gonna make these bitches cry today?
Yeah, it's exactly.
They like,
You know what? Really,
that's how it is.
I'll give all of you boys and girls a nice little piece of advice, or you boys. Well, maybe girls too, depending on what your relationship status is. But if you're looking for some good makeup sex that you didn't even create, come in right after This Is Us. She'll be like, get in the bedroom. I'm going to hug the fuck out of you. Like, oh, my God.
I'm going to hug the fuck out of you.
and you know how that is. That's Pandora's box. You start with the back rub, and then you just work your way in. That's how you work your way in there.
Yeah.
And that's a prime opportunity because they're upset, but they know they're silly for being upset about it. So you can find a very cathartic way to release such. So just a little tidbit, something to put in your sack. Maybe you do nothing with it, but
if you want to make it perfect, you come up with a ice cream or something first.
Oh yeah, chocolate or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something with chocolate. They love chocolate.
Way through a woman's heart, through her stomach, with anything with sugar in it, or cheese.
They do love cheese.
It's either sugar or cheese. If you could have sugar cheese, like sugar cheese sticks, please.
I'm pretty confident my significant other loves me, but if you had like a large plate of tacos with like surrounded by margaritas, that might be a trap she might fall into. And I would understand.
I guarantee you I could get a big margarita and put it under a huge box with a stick and a string, and I could catch that. It's either that or Starbucks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. There's something's on sale and there's a margarita.
Women will drive to Starbucks over getting gas.
I've learned, because I will drink a lot of coffee, but I've just started to buy a lot more for the house. But it's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. But you know what would suck to be in your house and have someone call you and try to murder you? Like the opening of this. That's two. That's
I'm
two.
cocking back.
That's
thinking,
two.
You really think I'm joking? I'm not. It is in my hand. I am throwing this at you. I don't care if I hit the candle, the microphone, the lamp.
It's gonna break everything.
You know,
It's going
I'll
to
take the
break
batteries
everything.
out. It'll make it lighter.
Okay. Being resourceful. Mark, do you ever think about the opening of this movie and how fucked they would be if they were to call me? Or even you, probably.
No, if they call you. I was thinking about that when I was watching it. Like, imagine if you got this phone call. He would be so pissed.
Just like cooking my popcorn, like, hey.
What's your favorite scary movie? I don't know. What day is it, dog? You know?
Nightmare on Elm Street, 84, if we're talking slashers. But if you're getting into psychological terror, I'm thinking, like, he's like, that's not where I want it to go.
Yeah, all I know is who's the real killer in Friday the 13th.
You'd be tied up outside and shit, like, will you fucking let me go?
You're not gonna. Do you know who you just called?
47 minutes in. He's a nerd. He doesn't have a life. Come on, ask
He's
him.
made 3 popcorns already. Like, come on.
Ask him a math question. Death or untie me. Get me out of here. Yeah, I thought that was really funny. But I think, we're not going to really, we will go, because these films definitely deserve all sequels. So is the fly in here?
Yeah, I
The
got 'em.
cicadas.
Yeah, I got rid of them.
All of these sequels will deserve.
How many sequels are there total of this again?
So there's 4, and the 5th one's coming out soon. COVID fucks a lot of stuff
There's
up.
a new Scream coming out.
Same actors, same actresses. So,
Who's directing it?
well, Wes Craven's R.I.P. So I don't know. I don't know who's going to direct it. I'll be honest though. I didn't hate 4. Like, it wasn't the best out of all of them, but I really, really like Emma Roberts. She's in American Horror Story. She's not hard to look at. I very much like her. And then I also liked one of the killers in it was Rory Culkin, and that's fucking. I think it's Rory. I don't know which one it is, but it's Macaulay Culkin's fucking brother. So yeah. All those fuckers are actors. Same thing. You fall into it on Wikipedia. You're like, oh, fuck. He's one of the killers. And then a little girl from Remember the Titans, Hayden, whatever the fuck her name. I forget her name. Pattinson. She's got short hair.
Everybody knows her. Will know her. Who you're talking about?
Yeah. She was like the horror nerd girl in 4. And she was like schooling dudes on horror facts. And I was just like,
You were pitching a tent real quick, weren't you?
bro, not going to lie. I would be afraid of that woman.
So, Rachel, next Halloween, dress up like whoever the fuck, watch that movie, dress up like her, write a bunch of facts on your palm, and there you go. That's his birthday present.
Yeah, there you go.
Boom.
Needs to happen. She was gorgeous. But Scream, all of them are really good at that because they keep the same casting. And this first one just launched such iconic roles with everybody. I mean, obviously, David Arquette is Officer Dewey, not Doofy.
Who's the principal? What's his name?
Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler.
The
that's
Fonz.
right. Yeah, the Fonz.
Hey. I love Henry Winkler's death in this movie. I mean, I love him because he's such like a sweet dude in real life. I've never met him, but he's just a sweet guy from all accounts, from everyone.
I don't think you could hate him.
No, dude.
You know, he's just one of those people that you just no. How could you hate this man?
His scream is like
I love how he keeps. I love how he's just walking around and he constantly startles himself like in 3 mirrors. It's hilarious.
Yes, I agree. I think he's a great addition to this. There's really not a bad role. So, I mean, you have Skeet Ulrich. He's playing Billy, and he was like Johnny Depp Jr. pretty much at that time in the world. Everybody's like, he looks just like Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And then, I was just talking about Matthew Lillard, dude who played Stu. He's great, man. Another horror guy. He's in a lot of stuff. Even Scooby-Doo, that's like, it's kids horror. It's getting kids into horror.
Right. He plays Shaggy. Everybody loves Shaggy.
Yeah, 13 Ghost. He was awesome in that. I love that movie, too. He's a solid.
I like this movie is also Scooby-Doo-ish, too.
Very much a whodunit.
If you put Scooby-Doo music behind the whenever Ghostface is on screen, like flailing around, like those sound effects.
Head work to the hallways.
Yeah. The multiple doors.
I love that so much about this, the whodunit fact, because I mean, it's kind of hard for me because I saw this movie like the year it fucking came out.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents, they were like in their like early 30s. So they were still kind of like, it was like late 20s, early 30s for them. So they got me actually hip to it, believe it or not. And then my cousins and I, we just took wind of it. But I'd love to see somebody watch it again for the first time now.
Yeah.
And watch them try to process whodunit, because it is such a good story. Like, Wes Craven put all the males in black boots. So you're like, oh, fuck. Everybody had an inkling that it was somebody. Like, oh, it's the main sheriff. It's Dewey. It's Billy. It's Stu. It's Randy.
It's her dad.
They tried to play you the whole fucking movie.
And they did. They do. I think they did a good job at that.
Yeah, man. And it's such character build. Like, when they're having conversations between them, it's not... And I love campy slashers. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I love the, like... we're just being dumb. But these people are having conversations where you're like, that's what girls talk about. Or like, that's what the cops would be doing. And then all of a sudden, you know, the music will heighten and you'll see the boots. You'll see some shit go on. Yeah. It's not Freddy-esque where it's like you don't know when they're dreaming. I'm not saying that. But there's like kind of a moment where like when Tatum gets the beer in the garage. And then she's like, oh, you know, she's joking with the killer.
Yeah.
And then it turns into like not a joke. And then it kind of turns hilarious because she gets her head smashed in the garage. I know. You know what's really funny too? If you go back and listen to it, just listen to like the sound effect. Almost turn it up because she's like, and there's like water sound, like squishing sounds.
Yeah. Dude, she had full-blown nips, too, going into that garage.
No, bro.
Could cut a diamond on them things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's almost comical.
Now, I will briefly mention, because sloppy horror is very, very supportive of a lot of stuff, except for crack cocaine. Don't do that. Don't do crack. But Rose McGowan, who played Tatum, great career, all kinds of shit. This film was directed by like the Weinsteins, you know, creepy Weinstein. Like, not directed, I'm sorry, but like the production company was the Weinsteins, you know. Apparently she had some not so great incidences with, you know, creepy Weinstein. So that's very interesting. You know, there was a lot of these horror movies made by the Weinsteins, and I mean, even The Burning was made by them, and that was like kind of their first kick at it all. So it's just kind of interesting to see. You know, you don't really think about that when you're watching it. But, you know, she's young, she's beautiful, she's gorgeous. So you're like, okay, well, I can see why they might have been fucking weird. You know what I mean? Like, you could totally see maybe some foul play happened. And
yep.
So that's just kind of crazy. She's a great addition to the movie. Courtney Cox, obviously. I mean, this is what... It's kind of sad they divorced or whatever. I honestly felt sad because these movies are so close to my heart. When Courtney Cox and David Arquette got divorced, I was like, that's sad, man. Like... Dewey and Gale, bro. Like, the fuck? Work it out, God. What the fuck? I'm going to call him. We'll sit down. We'll bring him in the studio. We'll work it out. I want you guys to grieve your differences and fucking make up on this table.
Yeah, you work on that.
All right. Well, I'll see what I can do. We'll get our people on it, see if, you know. It's not kidnapping.
We'll have our people call their people.
You remember in Trailer Park Boys where he took Alex Lifeson from Rush, and dude's like, you kidnapped me. He's like, it's not kidnapping you. I'm just borrowing you for a little bit. I'm just borrowing you. That was good. Yeah, that was good. So all these people work together so great. It's such a whodunit. You're wondering, and it could even be a girl. Like, you're not even doubting that possibility as well. Because that happens throughout the Scream franchise. It ends up being girls. So, very Scooby-Doo. Who are we going to pull the mask off at the end? Very human element to the killer. And that's we were discussing, you know, like, hey, he gets his ass kicked throughout most of these movies.
He's the worst iconic killer ever, like, as far as performance. Like, if he was, like, you know, he's always getting knocked over by other shit. Beer bottles, doors. He hits a door, gets knocked over by a door, falls on his ass. Very, like, Three Stooges. Like the Three Stooges is. But it's
good reference.
It's great to watch. Like, he's like,
he gets busted with those bottles.
Yeah. he gets hit by, like, everything. You know, they throw, like, a coat hanger at him. He's like, fucked up. You know, but it's so fun to watch. And makes Ghostface pretty entertaining to watch. Like, he's not like, tough fucking apex predator or Freddy fucked up. He's just very human, fuck up, average dude trying to do this.
Yeah, and they die at the end of like each of the movies for the most part. So it's like that's and all of them. So it's like really fucked to me to think like, oh yeah, this is totally real. You could see somebody like being a crazy, like premeditating something, having a beef with you, and a human being trying to do it.
Yeah, this is a very situation that could actually happen.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to? Probably not. But it's a very realistic situation that possibly could happen, which I think add to the, because this mainly is a comedy. Be real, an entertaining comedy, but it does have that horror element to it and strike a little bit of fear in people. Maybe not today, but back then when it came out.
This is my fate. Like, I'm gonna borrow Robert Zombert's term here. He said, in the '90s they really started the Dawson's Creek horror. Where it would be like all these beautiful faces on a movie poster, Final Destination, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, all these kind of flicks where it's like beautiful people, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, obviously Neve Campbell, all these people. I think Scream kind of did it the best. It's my favorite 90s slasher probably. I would have to think about that over and over. I'm just throwing it off the top of the brain now, but I've just watched it so much. And it wasn't too serious. It was such a good movie, but it wasn't too serious.
Yeah, it's a movie to where you could put it on when you're, cooking, doing something else. You could have a full-blown conversation with somebody during it and still keep an eye on it, still follow it, still enjoy it.
I don't know, I now it's background noise at the point, like, those movies that are like, you could just recite in your sleep? Mm-hmm. Even the music to all this fucking movie. Is there a bug in here?
Yeah.
He gonna die. I like that Red Right Hand song. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
in his red right hand.
Yeah, I like that song, but I watched that show, Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, I did too.
And
Rachel loves that show.
Yeah, and it that instantly popped in my head every time I hear that song.
I didn't know you watched that show.
Oh, I watched every season of it. I'm waiting for the new season to come out.
Oh.
Alfie Summons is my favorite character by far.
Oi! It's a fucking big poppy. You're like, subtitles on that show are a must.
It's no, that's a great fucking show.
Oh,
I like
love
that
it.
show. That's probably my favorite show that came out recently that I fuck with. But
everybody die.
Anyways,
back
all the way back into the 90s. Boom, we're back.
We're back here now. In the 90s. All attributed to Wes Craven, seriously. He's the best, man. He's my opinion, he's the best.
He is pretty fucking good.
He's very good.
It's going to be a while till we get another one like him.
Yeah. And I love the way the whole finale showdown at the end. You find out it's Billy, you find out it's Stu. Billy has a great motive. Sydney's mom, she died at a year before this.
Why don't you give me a little synopsis of it real quick?
Okay, I'll give a little breakdown. A little breakdown for the people. So, you got Sydney. She lives with her dad. Her mother was murdered a year before. It doesn't give you exactly a whole lot of background about it, but you just know she was murdered. Okay? Then all these murders start popping up. The killer calls Sydney, references her mother. Shit about her mother starts to pop up. It's like a year, the anniversary for a year after her mom's death. Obviously, all these murders keep going on. She keeps getting fucked with, but at the end, there's a large party, and at this party, it's revealed that her boyfriend, Billy, and his friend, Stu, are the killers. Billy is pissed, and he reveals that he also killed her mother the year before because her mother had slept with his father, and that's why his mom split. So, crazy little twist there. Crazy little twist. I liked it.
I didn't see it coming. I was like, oh,
All of a sudden,
oh my goodness.
it's the boyfriend.
It's the boyfriend and his other friend.
He killed all the people.
They kill everybody.
I like that, and also in the final showdown when Randy gets shot.
Yeah.
Ah! It makes me also think a Scary Movie too with Shorty, where he gets shot in the lungs. He said, "They shot me in the lungs." He's like smoking out of his lungs.
The first two Scary Movies were pretty good.
Yeah, they were the best. They were the best, and that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I like The Haunted House. Did you see that one?
That movie is hilarious, dude. Oh my god. Especially when you and me watch it together, rolling the whole time. The whole time. Everything is, it's so goddamn funny.
Dude's cousin was the funniest part.
Avion Crockett?
Yeah.
When he comes
Where's all
in.
your furniture, cuz?
No, I love Cedric the Entertainer when he's a priest.
Oh, yeah.
He
He showed his butterfly tattoo. He said, "You see that shit? That shit's hard, dog."
Oh, she on that old bus. That bus.
Nick Swartzen was hilarious in that, too. The gay psychic.
They had Gabriel Iglesias in there at one point as a gardener. Like, oh, my God. What a great movie. But why don't you get off your lazy fucking ass
Yeah.
and tell me some interesting things.
Some stuff you might not know.
Oh my goodness, what do you know here? Welcome to the What Do You Know? This is where we're here to tell you something that you may or may not know about this movie. And if you don't know any of this you're about to know, then you're going to know what we know. And then you're going to have a we know-gasm. Oh, what do you know here? We're here to tell you the thing I just told you about. So, what do you know about this movie here?
I'll tell you a couple things that I know about this movie.
Tell me. Tell me.
So this movie was around for a long time with the script, like we said. It was called Scary Movie. It was offered to a few directors. You know who those directors were?
No.
George Romero. You know. Dawn of the Dead.
The Dawn of the Dead director?
Yeah.
The guy
Night
who
of the Living
directed
Dead.
The Dead of the Dawn?
Zombies.
Zambies?
Zambies. It was also offered to Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi here.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi.
Yeah, he did Evil Dead. You know.
Evil Dead. Why is there a lot of zombie people in this?
I don't know. So here's what happened.
What's the thing with it?
They turned it down. Drew Barrymore, the actress, she agreed to do the movie. And then that's when Wes Craven says, okay, maybe we can make something work here.
Oh, Wes Craven, the man, the myth, the legend himself, is all up in this ma.
What do you know about Wes Craven?
What do I know about Wes Craven? Oh, see, I got a fact here that you may or may not know, or may have not have noticed, because, you know, you're not paying attention. You're touching yourself. You're eating the fucking stuffed crust pizza.
What can you do?
Your dog shit on the floor. You're distracted. You might miss it.
Don't you hate that?
Yes, I do. But, so, when we're talking about the scene where the principal, you know, the Fonz. Hey. He's in there. He's getting startled by a bunch of mirrors. He looks out in the hallway. He hears a noise. There's a janitor out there. He goes, "What? Not me, bitch." It's actually Wes Craven. That's cameo. That's Wes Craven mopping the floor, dressed like Freddy. Boom. It's there. And then it's not.
Wes Craven, dressed just like Freddy
Wes
Krueger.
Craven was mopping the floor as Freddy Krueger in this film.
That's pretty fucking interesting.
I know it's interesting. That's why I told you it's interesting.
Guess who else is in this movie?
I don't know. Who?
America.
America.
Well, this... That's how I sneeze. I tell you who else is... I tell you who else is in this movie.
Who else in this movie?
You ever seen a film or heard of a film called The Exorcist?
Yeah.
The Exorcist?
Yeah.
Linda Blair, the little girl who plays Reagan. Now, believe it or not, she was a little girl when that came out, but she grew up to be a woman.
Yeah, that's usually how it works.
Yeah,
it used to work. It used to be a 100% guarantee. Hey, it's not the same anymore. Now you're batting maybe, 6'8".
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Well, she's in this movie, and she's one of the directors. One of the interviewers, like the news anchors.
Which one?
So when they're outside of the school and Sydney shows up, Dewey brings her in. This is after all the incidents, and incidents. And then the director, Jesus Christ, I can't talk over here.
Will
Mark,
you just get
sweetheart,
yourself together here?
I'm upset. Honey pie.
Quit
Honey
fucking-
pie,
quit
I'm
fucking
upset.
around.
Okay. So, the little interview TV anchor that says, Sydney, how does it feel to almost get slaughtered and, torn to pieces or whatever? And she
Yeah.
says, the people have a right to know. That's
Yeah.
Linda Blair. That's her. She's grown. She's grown up.
That's insane.
No more pea soup.
Right over your head. Who would have thought? Your brain can feel the breeze. Who would have known? What a fact. What a fact. I'll tell you.
Beautiful stuff.
These things you know now, you gotta feel fucking smarter. Get a job at a library. You're that smart now.
Librarian. Just like the movie The Page Master.
A libertarian librarian.
Well, those are some pretty good facts I think the people could nibble on. Maybe they knew them.
Great facts. That's just the top of just the start of the popsicle. You haven't even got to the Tootsie Pop yet. You
Great
gotta
answer.
do that on your own.
Great answer.
Yeah. Good answer. Good answer. Salad. But
Okay.
anyway, that's what we know here. That all you know here?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Then that's all we know here.
Okay, well, we're going to see you guys the next time. Whoa. How smart do you feel?
Extremely smart.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay. You know what's actually really kind of interesting, Mark, that I wanted to do? This was actually 2 years ago. So the house that had the party, the final showdown, apparently someone lives there now, obviously. Some people live there. But they rented this fucking place out for like a giant like scream party. Like, I mean, it was private and the tickets were kind of pricey, so they probably weeded out a lot of the riffraff. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it was like a giant thing, and they like took you around spots of the house and had this fucking thing. And I remember seeing it and just being so jealous because I wasn't like able to make that. And I was like, dude, you know that like meme where it says, stop, I can only get so erect. Like, that's how I felt like, uh-oh. And there's a lot of neat things like that popping up with some of these locations. And it's like, that's kind of neat. That's one cool part about the internet. Like, it would take a lot to know in like 1988, like where the film was filmed or like where the movie was filmed, unless it was like a major location that you see. But if it's like kind of random, you're like, where the fuck was this shot? Where was this house at? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't know where Ferris Bueller or Cameron's house from Ferris Bueller was.
Yeah.
In which I swear that's our relationship a lot of times. You outside of, or Cameron outside of his car, he's like, he's going to keep calling me. That's one of those movies. It's very relatable, but it's kind of neat though, man, to have that opportunity to research something. So I kind of want to do that a little bit in our future. Our buddy Joe, he's like, dude, if you guys go to that fucking Camp Crystal Lake thing, I'll go with you. I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah, man, I'll go with you. I was like, fucking A. He's like, it's so random, like what people aren't interested in, especially if they're not like horror nerds. Like people are like, hey, man, I listened to this or watched this video of yours and that's sick. And you're like, oh, that's crazy. I never even knew you were like, you know what I mean? Because you don't like push it too much to like, I don't to my close friends. Is like, I don't try to waterboard people. You know, I want natural horror fans. But it's always random what people like and don't like. And I think that would be cool as fuck to go out to some of these locations. Props to the fucking owner of that Scream house for being like, hey, man. I mean, it's probably just for money. But in the same time, you don't have to rent your house.
I would make that shit an Airbnb now.
Yeah.
Advertise it as a Scream house.
I think the same thing with that Nightmare on Elm Street house, because part of Halloween was shot in it too. Like, because just real briefly, we told you how like the Halloween movie, there was a TV cut and they shot extra scenes for the TV cut to make things make sense for the parts that they cut out.
Yeah.
Long story short, they shot in a house, and that house is the same house that they shot Elm Street, right? Like, don't you think you could just give like a once a year tour? Make tickets $500 fucking dollars, because people are like $300, because people will still pay it. Like, honestly, like if I was comfortable and I had it like that, like I would totally go.
Sure.
I would totally go. It's not like all the time I would do it, but if it's a once in a blue moon, it'd be like, dude, I want to go here. I want to see that location. I'd like to be a part of it. Weed out the riffraff. So hopefully they do that again with the Scream house.
They would have to. I mean, come on.
Are you able to tell the difference between the Ghostface masks? Because they're different in each movie. It's very slight.
Yeah, I knew there's something different about him. Just in the back of my mind, like that kind of looks different, but it doesn't. I'm not gonna sit there and dissect it. It don't really bother me that much, but
In my horror collage, I got one down here.
Yeah.
It's just like, let me go with the classic.
Dude, I'm telling you, back in those times when this movie was more relevant, I guess you could say.
Sure.
More fresh. Ghostface masks everywhere.
Oh, fucking Halloween, brother.
Yeah.
There was some. You remember the ones where you can like squeeze and the blood would go through?
Yeah, I went trick or treating one year. Of course, I always had a clown mask, but one of my buddies at the time, he had that Scream mask, just gushing the blood out. It's pretty cool, man.
It is very cool.
It's such a cool looking like mask, though. It's pretty dope. Very simple, but that ghost face is it's pretty cool looking.
You know what I love about Ghostface?
What?
His knife clean with his gloves.
That is my favorite, dude. That's my favorite thing about this movie is just it's only, and I think he only cleans it twice, but that's just like.
Why is it so cool?
I don't know why it's so cool.
It's so dope.
It's just the combination of Ghostface and just I mean how fucking raw, I guess you could say, is the fact, or killer like badass. I don't know the word to describe it, but the fact that you just stab somebody, you look at your next victim and you clean it with your glove.
It just shows like you've done it before. Like it was like a routine thing. Like just like.
I don't know what about that, dude, but that is just so sick.
It's like kind of fun, that conversation. Like, so after Drew Barrymore's killed, which she's a high schooler. All of these are high schoolers.
Why in every movie they make a high school movie, they always use like 25-year-olds and shit. Like walking around with D cups and shit and fucking muscles, fucking.
You and I would be seniors in high school if we were like in a movie right now.
If I shaved, I could probably pull it off because I got a baby face.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
A boyish good features, a boyish good looks.
I always thought that was just stupid. Like, why don't you get actual, like, get 18-year-olds if you're going to put sexual shit in it just for legal purposes. But, I mean, at least don't go over 18. Fuck,
sure.
Like, help it out.
Sure. I mean, no complaints with this movie, but for a lot of them, yes.
I always thought that's crazy.
I think that just shows... The knife clean shows that this motherfucker's done it. Mm-hmm. He's super confident in what he's doing. But at the beginning, when they're all talking, after Drew Barrymore gets killed, and, every student and classmates, like, getting interviewed by the police and principal, like, just kind of, like, casual, but they're just kind of trying to find answers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all talking amongst each other, like, hey, did they ask you if you like to hunt? And one of the girls is like, why would they ask you if you like to hunt? Because, like, we heard that she was gutted. You're like, how do you gut someone? Sydney asks. And right there, that kind of gives Final Girl, like, premonition, because she's, like, naive.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, you know what I mean? She doesn't understand. And then fucking Stu's like, it's where you cut them from groin to sternum. And, like, this real, like, melodic, pianic music. Like,
Stu's the horror movie guy that's you, right?
No, that's Randy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who is it?
I'm getting a little woozy here.
I get him mixed up. What's his name again? I'm sorry.
Stu.
No, Stu. Not Stu. No.
Matthew Lillard in real life.
No, not Stu. The guy who's the horror movie guy.
Randy.
Okay.
Yes. Randy Meeks. Yes.
I love when Randy says, "You're alive. I'm alive. I've never been so happy to be a virgin."
Yeah, he is that is the fun. I love that part too. He's like always on it with the horror, like the dude with the horror movies. Dude was like, when do we see Jamie Lee's tits? He's like, not in this movie. It's like, she was always the virgin in horror movies.
I love if I was okay. Now Stu, the other half of Billy. I'm getting right. I love when it's toward the final segment and he's bleeding and they're talking to Sydney on the phone. And Sydney goes, what are you gonna do? The cops are on their way. How are you gonna get out of this? He goes, I'll tell him it's peer pressure. I'm sensitive.
My parents are gonna be so mad at me. You know that part that the part that was really funny to me?
What's that?
When he got hit with the fucking phone, that was all improv. Like, so when he was like, you hit me, like, because he didn't mean to throw it. Like, he meant to put it down, but it, like, slipped out of his hand because there's so much blood. He's like, you hit me with the phone, dick! And it worked.
It did work.
It worked perfect. You know
Oh,
what?
yeah.
You know what part fucking hurts the worst to me?
What's that?
When Sydney gets a little fucking fire under her ass, and she pops out of the closet and stabs. She fucking stabs. What's his face in the chest with an umbrella?
Ooh, yeah.
So she pops out of the closet, she stabs him in the chest with an umbrella, and it like makes this fucking I like this imprint into his fucking chest. It's the worst thing ever, dog. Like, I don't know, I've just never seen like a umbrella used like that. Like, it was like, fuck, dude. Like,
Well,
ow.
they're not really that sharp enough either. So it's a dull ass end of a.
Oh,
that
it's
is
too
pretty
much.
brutal when you think about it.
Dude, yeah, and he's like not expecting it. She like pins him to the wall with it. It's like,
yeah.
ow.
What force?
And then she like digs her finger into it, like not go into the bullet hole.
Yeah.
And he's like, Randy, like after he's down and dead, and he's like, careful. This is the part where they always come back in the movies or whatever. And he pops, and she shoots his ass.
Yep.
That's funny as shit.
So Christian Ramey, I mean, we gotta do the damn thing here.
Sloppy horror rating, baby, yeah!
Yeah, baby, it's right here. 1, 2, 3, and the place to be. The place is Sloppy Horror Rating. This is the little segment of the show where I ask you what the hell you rate this movie in 4 categories. 3 categories are worth 3 points. Last category is 1 point for a total of how many?
Fun.
No, 10.
10 points altogether?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 10 points altogether. That's the final score.
I hate you. Anyway, so let's get on to the first category, Mr. Horror Nerd Christian Ramey, and that is casting for 3 points. What's up?
Casting. We've discussed this whole movie. I don't know if you can get more fucking ideal. This is a 3 out of 3, undoubtedly. Like, there's no even, like, way to question it. You could take 2 of these actors out, and it's still a 3 out of 3. It's that good. Across the board, every character was thought of. Everybody was put in the right place. Drew Barrymore getting killed at the beginning throws everybody off. They're not expecting a lead actress to die. You just don't expect that. Very Psycho-esque.
Yes.
And you're like, whoa, the lead character died. Holy fuck. So.
It's one of those things you weren't expecting.
Right. 3 out of 3.
Wild card, bitches. Very good. 3 out of 3 for casting. That moves on to the next category, which is kills.
Kills. Now, I'm going to think about this one, but to be honest, this is going to be a pretty high up rating too. You have a garage kill. You have Henry Winkler, which it wasn't like that graphic, but you're not expecting this fucking old, because you almost thought he was a killer for a second too after he yells at the kids.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, he's kind of aggressive, but in general, he's like a sweet principal who's sympathetic to those girls. He was actually a sweet guy. That's why he was being mean to those kids. So, his death was pretty.
Yeah. Drew Barrymore's death was probably the most brutal one.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they hang her from a fucking tree.
Yeah, and gutter and stuff. The other ones are usually either gunshot or stabbing, except for
But even-
garage kill. I mean, that was pretty cool,
But
too.
Kenny gets his fucking throat slit and thrown on top of the van. This is 3 out
Yeah.
of 3. I mean, you got throat slits, garage kills. I mean, you got hanging from a tree.
You get stabbed with an umbrella, then you get stabbed, then you get shot.
a TV smash on the head.
With the electricity. Dude, that would hurt. Those big-ass TVs. Ooh.
Oh, fuck, dude, you're dead.
Those big glass screens.
You're
Man.
dead.
Oh, yeah.
That's a 60 fucking pound TV falling on your face.
Yeah.
Like, it's over, buddy.
All right, cool. So 3 out of 3 for kills. So
Yeah,
that's a total of 6 points. It's moving right along here in the race. Let's go to the third and final category. That is fear.
So, this with fear, I gotta think honestly here, and I'm not rating it from 2021. So that
You're going back to 1996.
6, and I think honestly it's a 2. It's a solid 2 because it's not terrifying. It's not going home with you terrifying.
No.
But it is very suspenseful. And if you're watching it, you kind of do have those moments, especially in the 90s, where you're like, oh, my God, like, what is that, dog? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I think it does add that realistic element to it slightly to add to a little bit of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So 2 points.
2 points.
That's 8 points total. Wait, no. Yeah, 3, 6 plus 2 is 8. So 1 category left. Does Christian Ramey fuck with this movie?
I do fuck with it, man.
Christian Ramey fucks with this movie.
100%. I love this movie. It's a part of my soul. I could repeat, like, you could mute it. It's just one of those movies for me. You can mute it, and I could repeat it. I love this movie. So, absolutely.
So that is a total of 9 out of 10 for Scream, 1996.
That's right, man.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
On Sloppy Horror Podcast. Rating.
That's right.
Even though it's like 20-year-old movie. You still heard it here first, bitch.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it. No, seriously, if you haven't seen it, what the fuck?
Or if you haven't seen it in a while, go back.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable. That's the thing, man. You forget about... Life goes on, you forget about how great some of these movies are, enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, they still float, man.
Oh, yeah.
Still floats.
They don't sink.
They stay afloat.
They never break.
I love this movie, man. I really do. I could speak about this movie for 12 fucking hours.
Yeah.
It's good rating.
Very good rating. 9 out of 10. It's official.
So what do you think, Ozark Mark? What should these people be excited for?
You've said it a million times. They already know what to be excited for. They know what's going on. You know what's happening.
If you're not watching this on YouTube, I want you boys and girls to do us a favor and go onto YouTube. Check it out. There's going to be more fun content that's coming out. It's like...
Yes. Look, stay boomed, okay? Because, let's pull the curtain back a little bit, Christian Ramey. Is this our primary job? No. Sadly, it's not.
No,
but we're working on it. We're working on it to dedicate full amount of our time into this show. But we're not quite there yet. But we're trying our asses off for you, boys and girls. It's all for you, guys. It's all for you. Just remember that. So stick with us. Stay boomed. You never know when new content's going to pop up and entertain your asses. Oh, because believe me, it will.
Hey, and also, too,
these ideas brewing, you just don't know what's going to happen next.
You can't take us anywhere.
You can't take us anywhere.
No, seriously, though, if you guys are listening to this on Apple, we'd very much appreciate an honest review. Whatever you guys think about the show, lay down on the reviews. That would be very much appreciated because Apple will help us out in the algorithm as well if there's more ratings. So we appreciate that, man. Let us know what you think.
What'd you think?
What's going on? Well, hell yeah. So you guys know where to find us. We're going to be back next week with something interesting, something fun.
What is it? Don't tell me.
I'm not.
Leave them in suspense.
Uh-huh. We're going to be back, boy. We're going to be back.
We going to be back up in this bitch. Back up in this bitch. Hey. Back up in this bitch.
Huh?
Back up in this bitch.
When?
Back up in this bitch.
Next week.
Back up in this bitch.
Uh-huh.
Back up in this bitch.
Talk scary shit. We were making a lot. We were getting crazy.
That was hot fire right there. Nowadays, shit. That's how easy it is these days to make a rap song. All you gotta do is be catchy. Somebody's gonna be saying, back up in this bitch. Back up in this bitch.
Say what?
Back up in this bitch.
Next week.
Back up in this bitch.
We'll see ya.
Back up in this bitch.
Goodbye.
Back up in this bitch. Back up in this bitch. Back up in this bitch.